opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Welcome in, everyone, to a Wednesday edition of Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. My name is Ty Bartell. As we get through the rest of this week, no Anthony Hartwig, of course. I believe he's coming back on Monday's edition of the show, so we are excited to have Anthony return on that. But until then, we got a lot of baseball, softball to talk about. Not only are our power rankings came in on Monday night, too. We'll eventually continue the discussion in the power rankings. Our big dogs, our first ever big dog voting of the baseball softball season, dropped yesterday, too. We have the candidates on the baseball softball side. We're going to look to talk about each one of those candidates a little bit more and just look at the first round of voting to kind of see where the voting is a little bit later, as well as we have all of our recaps of games we want to get to, as well as also the golf guru himself, Brian Tolnar, going to be making an appearance on today's show, as well as Scotty Mincher going to be on from 1 to 2, I believe, today, as it's Wednesdays with Scotty. I believe Brian coming on at 1 o'clock, too, so it's going to be a little three-people action, too, on the show, as Brian will be on with us, and also Scotty will from 1 to 1:15, and Scotty going to hang around until 2 o'clock. Nonetheless, we do have some scores from last night. Nothing from really up here or around here due to the weather from yesterday. Winter decided to rear its ugly head one more time, too, it seems like. Hopefully we stick around with warm weather, but we will see. But nonetheless, Myrtle Beach had it popping last night with some games going off. As far as yesterday was concerned, the Falcons, Fitch softball, yesterday at least, blew out Myrtle Beach. 17-2 was the final score in this one. How about this one, too? Combined no-hitter thrown by Sydney Watts and Kayla Schubert. That is the third one for Austintown pitching this season, to 3 no-hitters already in the young season. At the time, that sent the Falcons to 11-0, but that was right before this morning, too. As a matter of fact, I believe it was 8 o'clock this morning. Falcons suffering their first defeat of the season. It was against the number 3rd ranked team in Maryland, Archbishop Spalding, 2-0. This happened in 5 innings, too, so not a 7-inning contest. Didn't go to 7 innings due to the rainouts. They're just trying to get as many games in as possible right now. So a 5-inning contest, and Fitch was on the losing end of that to Archbishop Spalding again, the number 3 team ranked in Maryland, 2-0. And actually, Spalding scored off of a single hit, only had 1 hit in the ball game against Sydney Watson. It was an inside the park home run, and they also scored on a pass ball to get their 2 runs and win that one, 2-0. Fitch now 11-1 on the season. Canfield in the baseball realm looking strong as ever as they put up a baker's dozen and runs 13-1 against Fairport. The Cardinals are victorious in the baseball realm down in Myrtle Beach, and that's the trio of games. Now we had scores for you on last night and this morning's slate of baseball, softball for the area now, and both of those the number 1 teams in their respective power rankings as well. And while we talk about that, let's go into those real quick. After that slate of games, as we always like to do, kind of peek in our power rankings day to day and just spark that discussion of where you think teams rank now after another day of baseball, softball is under our belts. As Fitch now, they do suffer their first defeat of the season But if I'm not mistaken, with the exception of Champion and Crestview, I believe everyone else on this list also having a defeat on the season. But now it also brings up that question too, who can or will they dethrone the Falcons at the number 1 seed going forward? We talked about South Range suffering only 1 defeat down in Myrtle Beach, and it was to, I believe, the number 2, I want to say, team in Pennsylvania, Beaver, and that was an interesting matchup too, close matchup that South Range lost in that one. Fitch losing number 3 team in Maryland. So it's like, how much weight do you put in those? I think it's going to be great debate too between number 1 and number 2 the rest of the season. As also we saw Fitch was ranked number 4 in D1, South Range ranked number 3 in D3 in the coaches polls as well. So there's always going to be some conversation there. West Branch, Ursuline always looking good. Champion always going to be in the thick of things. I think this is a very interesting power rankings for this week too, with a lot of games on the docket too, and a lot of games I believe that are scheduled for tonight that are going to have some major implications on these power rankings. What game are you most excited for tonight, and which team are you most excited to see in action from these power rankings? What team do you think has the most potential on moving up? What team do you think has the most, I guess the worst opportunity of dropping down? What teams are on the outside looking in? What teams do you not think belong on this list? Let us know what you think in the comments section on the side, and we'll bring you into this conversation. Let's spark a debate, have a conversation about these softball power rankings. We'll head over to the baseball side of things. And I mean, again, Canfield just continuing to be victorious and not a lot of other teams playing. We're already into Wednesday, and we're finally looking to get some games in this week. A lot of teams coming back from their spring break, and they come back to winter weather, it feels like it. They're going to try to get some games in tonight. We should have a full slate of games for you tonight. We're excited to preview a few of those with some very fun matchups in both the baseball and softball realm happening in a lot of these teams too. You got to remember, a lot of these teams coming back from Myrtle Beach, they have to get into their conference plays as well. So conferences such as the AAC with Canfield, Boardman, Fitch is going to be wide open going forward. Conferences such as the NE8, South Range and Lakeview making a push right there. Hey, maybe the EOAC can get interesting too, but Columbiana looking mighty strong in that realm as well. And we also got to talk about the fact that I believe the Holy War is still going to be up for grabs too for this conference as well. Ursuline did grab that 8-7 victory, but if I'm not mistaken, Mooney and Ursuline still have a second matchup due up in this season, so that's going to be fun as well. Go right back over to the girls' side of things. There's a lot of teams too that NE8 has to get figured out too. We have 4 teams featured on the NE8 over here. A couple teams from the AAC that's on here as well. A couple of gray division teams, or gray division teams in the MVAC, I should say, with Champion and Crestview, that they're going to have to battle things out. A lot of answers need to be answered with these power rankings and with these games coming up this week. And again, let us know what you think of these power rankings, as we were able to get a few games in from last night's slate. Nonetheless, though, I do want to go into our big dog voting. Again, you can go find this at ysnlive.com/bigdogs to get all the candidates, the voting, and just what we have dropped for the first week of big dog voting in the baseball and softball realm. And we're always excited to release these and have these out. It's a staple of our sports season to season, and we just look forward to continue giving coverage to these athletes. Jeff Collins, Latonia should be number 1, plain and simple. Hey, Jeff, that's your opinion. You're entitled to it. Looking too at the big dog votings. We'll open up with the softball side of things, and we'll start with Caden Sutton of Crestview. And with the way the Rebels have been rolling, I mean, you can't look any further than what Caden Sutton has been impact-wise for Crestview. And, I mean, you see where they're ranked in the power rankings, again, in the thick of it, in the fold of it. And you got to expect Crestview to have some great representation, one of the core 4 schools of YSN. So we look forward to seeing how well the Rebel community can represent Caden Sutton. You go into it, United's Torrey Firth, and when you go perfect in the circle, I feel like you have to get recognized on big dog voting, and that's exactly what we're getting with Tori Firth. I mean, you go perfection in the circle, you throw a perfect game up there, you're going to get noticed, and that's exactly what happens here with Tori. We actually have had her on the show, and funny enough, it was the day of, just happened prior to the game too, so you could actually catch a Tori Firth player profile that was conducted on Running Point. Find that on ysnlive.com, as well as the YSN Live YouTube page for that big dog candidate, again, United's Tori Firth. We had another interview too, or Anthony Hartwig rather, had a great interview that was conducted with Skylar Greenheisen. It was under the article title, The Sky's the Limit. We actually played that one, I believe, on Monday's show of Running Point 2. So it was on there. It's also, of course, going to be found on ysnlive.com and our YSN Live YouTube page too. Skylar Greenheisen of West Branch making the list for the first voting in the first week of Big Dogs for baseball, softball realm. Sam Suzanne getting on the list as well too, and DJ had a great chance to see her down in Myrtle Beach as she got the flex on the teams out of state, and South Range did as an entire team too. Part of the reason why they're ranked number 2, and they're ranked number 2 because of players like Sam Suzanne and the impact that they have on that Raiders squad. No doubt what she's been able to do for this team has been huge going forward, and it's going to continue to be huge going forward as we look forward to seeing what Suzanne is going to be able to continue to do. And another one of those core 4 schools for the YSN side of things. So we'll see if South Range comes out strong in voting for Sam Suzanne. Couple of AAC teams too. Couple of girls I'm a little bit more familiar with. Got a chance to see both of these players before the season. Maddie Lester from Boardman getting the nod too. On the pitching side of things too, in the circle, she's 2-2 with a 4.57 ERA, 20 Ks, 231 batting average against. But it's really her bat that makes up a lot of this room too for Boardman. 405 average is 4th on the team. She has a couple of home runs, which is 1st on the team, 14 RBIs, which is 1st on the team, and 3 doubles, which is tied for 1st on the team. An extra base hit machine for the Boardman Spartan softball team. Maddie Lester, no doubt, with a thunderstick. Another one with a thunderstick. We kind of mentioned her earlier in the talks of at least the Fitch in Myrtle Beach competition, as well as the Spalding versus Fitch, and it is Sydney Watts, the freshman superstar phenom, the untouchable Sydney Watts, whatever you want to say, maximum wattage. She's electric, all kinds of nicknames for Sydney. She's on this list as well. Got a chance to see her plenty of times this season, and well-deserving, you could say, too. Run through her numbers real quick. Pitching side of things, 10-0 on the season, 0.49 ERA, 134 strikeouts, 104 batting average against, 8 complete games, 5 shutouts, 2 no-hitters in the circle. And, I mean, as great as she is as a pitcher, folks, look over on the average and the hitting side of things. 559 average is 2nd on the team, 5 home runs is 1st, and her 13 RBIs are tied for 1st on the Austintown Fitch Falcon squad. No doubt Sydney Watts has brought some electricity to this Falcons lineup and the Falcons circle this year. The freshman doing big things, and so are all the other girls too. Again, we'll run through it with Maddie Lester, Caden Sutton, Tori Firth, Skylar Greeneisen, and Sam Suzanne. Get a chance to get out there and vote for all of our softball candidates in the week 1 voting list of Big Dogs, as we'll actually chime in and take a look in to the voting right now of the Big Dogs and see where we are at. It's actually right over 6,500 for the softball side of things. So get out there and vote. Share it up too, and bring some great numbers for the student athletes too. They love to see it. We love to see it. We love seeing all the support for all of our high school area student athletes in our Big Dog votings right now. 6,500 on the softball side of things. We'll take a look at the boys before we look at the boys total as well, and we'll compare and contrast, see how close the voting is and who will take week 1 between the boys and girls baseball, softball in the voting realm. In the baseball side of things, we have Evan Tice from East Liverpool getting the nod. And I mean, East Liverpool, always a great baseball program, always turning out some great baseball talent. And down there in the mountains of Ohio, he's Evan Tice and East Liverpool doing big things. And so is Evan, as he looks really good to start the season, as we look forward to continued coverage of the Potters. Get out there and vote. Evan Tice, that's always a great community down there too. East Liverpool, they know how to bring it in the voting. I believe they've gotten some big dog voting winners, at least in the last few big dog voting for basketball and also for football as well. So East Liverpool always doing a great job as far as supporting its athletes. Gavin Hyde from Boardman is on the list, as well as Hyde is one of those guys too that, I mean, you look at the AAC conference and just how phenomenal it is. It's ridiculous to see how much talent is hosted in this. You have actually 3 AAC players that are featured inside this conference, inside the big dog voting this first week up, and it just goes to show how much talent I think is shown on that baseball side of things. Looking also to Joe Roth, another one of those guys that is making the list from the AAC, from the Fitch Falcons. I've had a chance to see him. He's had a 15 strikeout game against Poland. I believe he had 10 strikeouts against Lakeview. Dude is unbelievable too, and he does a phenomenal job overall too for the Falcons, really putting it all together. And now the power's coming into the bat, as well as he's hitting some ground rule doubles, even some home runs in that huge ballpark. So no doubt doing a great job. Let me get you some numbers here real quick if I can pull these up. For Gavin Hyde, too, I want to go back to the Boardman Star. 3-0 on this season in his 4 appearances, 1.05 ERA. He struck out 29 and has a batting average against of 211. So Gavin Hyde doing a phenomenal job over there with the Spartans. We want to obviously give him a tip of the cap, too, for making this list, and also for Joe Roth as well for making this list as well. Two stars so far from the AAC baseball realm that have made it, and 2 very bright and upcoming stars too. Joe Roth too, committed to play for the Zips at Akron going forward. Riley Mcelwain for the Columbiana Clippers has made the cut, and when you throw a no-hitter against Southern, I feel like that kind of gets you a spot on this list. And you want to talk about pitching overall. The pitching of Columbiana has been absolutely incredible to start the season, and the southpaw and Mcelwain is no different in that too. He does a phenomenal job, and he also committed, I believe, just before the season to play college baseball, and I want to say it was at Cuyahoga Community College is where he ended up signing. So Riley Mcelwain going to be continuing his baseball career well after this season, but before then, he gets some big dog nods too after he no-hit Southern and has just a phenomenal start to the season. So Riley Mcelwain and the Clippers look to clap along for a big dog win. Landon Vital Cheese and the Big Cheese, as I believe DJ likes to call him for Canfield, another southpaw, and the exemplification of domination is Landon Vital Cheese and what he's able to do. And excuse me, Mcelwain. Before I got this in, and I want to correct this too before we get anything. Riley Mcelwain, I wanted to get a correction on that. And that's a guy too that no-hit Southern. He's playing at Cuyahoga Community College, and a great commit and a great pitcher on the mound for the Clippers. So Riley Mcelwain is a candidate for that. We go back to Landon Vital Cheese and just what he's been able to do. The baseball senior, I should say, for the Canfield Cardinals, and the southpaw, I should say, on the mound, is one of the most dominating guys I've had a chance to see on the mound as well, and just what he's able to do velocity-wise. His breaking stuff is absolutely unbelievable. Committed to play at Ohio State, the Ohio State University, so going to link up with another local Canfield guy over at the South Range side of things, and Jacob Gehring when he gets there, so that'll be no doubt fun to see at the Ohio State University. But, I mean, Canfield continuing to do big things, and Landon Vital Cheese, not only what he does on the mound, the dude can hit too, and he's got some power in his bat. It's unbelievable what he's able to do. Let me see if I could get his stats up real quick for you as we pull up. He has his average right now. These are only in a few games too, so actually let me see if I have a pitching one by him. No, nothing up on this right now for stats. When we do get stats, I'll try to put those in for you. But, I mean, he's a guy that's drilled some home runs on the season, too. He's got power in his bat, and he's a dominating lefty on the mound for the Cardinals. So no doubt Landon Beitelgeuse well deserving of being on this list. We stay in Canfield. We just go to the other school over there to South Range, and it's Billy Skirpak, and he's going to make the list to round things out for the baseball side of things. And it's a South Range Raiders team that is looking just like they did to start the season back in 2018. You feel like with the pitching staff, we actually had Coach Hannock on yesterday, and he had the quote too that this might be the best pitching staff he's seen in recent memories too. And Billy Skirpak's one of those guys leading things too with South Range and does it all. One of the great leaders for the Raiders, and one of those guys we're excited to continue covering for South Range as they look to make a run at that NE8 and they look to make a run in Division 3. No doubt always going to be a little bit of a challenge trying to get through the NE8. There's always going to be a little bit of pushback from those teams, but Billy Skirpak's one of those guys that you want him on the mound when the game's on the line and when you need something to go right. It feels like he's able to do just that. As we look at Billy Skirpak too, he's one of those guys that has played multiple sports. It feels like everyone at South Range plays multiple sports, and they're all phenomenal multiple sport athletes as well too. So he's doing great things, and the South Range pitching's looking very, very good to start the season, and it's highlighted by none other than Billy Skirpak. And he was also, I think, named on Division 5's Ohio all first team in football. Just a tremendous athlete all around. Let's look at the boys voting though and see where these totals are at to start. And it looks like the boys right now 7-9-7-8, but I want to refresh and get an updated one because we did get allow some time to pass between the girls and the boys. Let's double check and double down on this and see where we are at. Girls right now 6,688, boys 8,003. So right now baseball taking a slim lead on the girls, and you better watch out, girls. Baseball's looking to come back after getting dominated in the basketball season. Girls basketball really showed up in our big dog voting. I think they won all but just a couple of weeks. Wrestling came in and started showcasing that what they can do. But no doubt, girls were dominant in volleyball. They were dominant in basketball season. Let's see baseball, softball, boys out to an early lead, trying to take the first win of this season. To get out there and vote, we'll go through our candidates one last time. On the softball side, it's Sam Suzanne, Skylar Greenison, Tori Firth, Caden Sutton, Maddie Lester, and Sydney Watts. On the baseball side, Evan Tice, Gavin Hyde, Joe Roth, Riley Mcelwain, Landon Beitelgeuse, and Billy Skirpak. On the baseball side, get out there and vote again. Find it at ysnlive.com/bigdogs to get the voting done on that. It was also cool too. We want to talk about these Myrtle Beach trips, and we know right now Canfield baseball, Fitch softball is down there in Myrtle Beach. We got a chance to see too the Fitch softball page get a chance to share a photo, and we also shared it on our socials as well. Phil and Sue Smith down there in Myrtle Beach. Fitch grads too were there supporting their granddaughter who plays for Myrtle, but we got a chance to snap a picture of them, get them a little bit of FaceTime, and that was just cool to see Fitch grads all the way down there in Myrtle coming out to support their alumni school as well as their granddaughter who played on the opposing side as well. So that was a special moment for them. And it was a cool moment too. And it was one we wanted to make sure we shared with all of you on YSN Live, all of you YSN Live faithful, I should say. Go check that out on our social media pages too. It was shared actually by Fitch Softball too. You could go see the original post there, and we shared it too on ours too. So no doubt a cool moment for the world of sports and for Fitch overall. Also wanted to share with you before we get into our 12:30 interview with Michael Thorpe of Salem softball too. We're going to be checking in with him at 12:30 before we bring up the 1 o'clock interview with Brian Tolnar, and we get into it with Scotty. This is a interesting thing that we wanted to bring up too. YSN now has a QR code that you could scan for live games. So we kind of take all that trouble out of it. And if you have the capabilities on the phone to scan a QR code, we made it all the more simpler for you to be able to access your live games from night to night. So the QR code, you could see that posted on our social media pages at YSN Live on Facebook, Twitter, too, Twitch, all of our socials. We have our QR code on there. Scan that, and that'll bring you to the live games. And this is actually going to help too with the nature of all the number of not I should say streams. I was going to say schools. That's not the case at all. With all the number of streams that are out there, fall false streams, fake streams, scam streams that are out there trying to get you to click on that are not us, not endorsed by us, not provided to by us. We tried to think outside of the box and give you another way to access your game. So now the QR code takes away the links of having to go through looking for all the links to, making sure you're clicking the right link. Just scan that QR code. It'll take you right to our page with our live games, and you can see what's on the docket for that night too, and catch all of your area high school sports for the evening too. Again, YSN Live on our Facebook and Twitter to see that. It should be posted. It's our YSN QR code for live games. And I'm sure any questions on that too, I think DJ might highlight it too on his show as well on the Power Hour from 3 to 4. So stay tuned if you have any questions with that, but just another cool thing provided by YSN to kind of make things a little bit easier for all of you at home trying to catch some live games in action tonight. And we do have a lot of games that are scheduled to be on the docket tonight, live on the network, as well as many other games that are just going to be happening in the area as well. So we look forward to talking all of that. We're probably going to be picking those with Scotty as well and just breaking down a couple of those games. As all that comes up prior to, we have Michael Thorpe coming up at 12:30 with an interview with Salem Softball. So as we await him, we'll go ahead and take our first break of the day and come back with a little bit of softball talk. This is Ty Bartel with Greenwood Chevrolet of Austintown's YSN's Running Point. We'll be back right after this.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
For a great vehicle and a great experience, come to Boardman Mitsubishi today. As always, our full lineup of Mitsubishi models comes with a standard 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Boardman Mitsubishi, your hometown Mitsubishi dealer since 1999.
Coca's Pizza, always supporting our community and our local athletes. Stop in on game day or score big and have it delivered right to your door. Check out our daily specials at cocaspizza.com. That's Coca's Pizza, we serve it hot.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
Welcome back, everybody, to Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. My name's Ty Bartell. A little bit of business to get to, and I want to also apologize. I want to make sure we get this right, too. Columbiana's Riley Mcelwain is up for big dog voting to the Columbiana pitcher that no-hit Southern. Riley Mcelwain up for big dog voting for the Clippers, nonetheless. And you can find those big dog votings at www.ysnlive.com/big dogs. I don't know why I threw the www dot in there. I don't know. I don't think we've used www dot in like 10 years. It's been quite some time. But we do have someone we do want to bring in too as we head into the Salem softball room for Coach Michael Thorpe of the Salem Quakers. And boy, oh boy, Coach, I mean, I think that must have been some crazy trip. It's got your hair running wild.
I lost you.
Looked like
I still got my Tennessee hair on, see? Girls don't, they dared me to wear it on the next time I was on here, so we don't back down at Salem, right?
No, it doesn't look like it, Coach. It looks like you guys drove your hair crazy on this whole trip. Let's start there too. I mean, you were telling me it was a great trip. You have some fun stories to tell from this. Let's go into this Tennessee trip and what made it so fun.
All right, the best story I think was the bear story. The girls had their cabin, and there was a 5-foot stuffed bear there, a little bit taller than that because I looked eye to eye with it. But I was probably about 5'2". But anyway, they were scaring everybody by placing it in each other's showers, and all over the place. This bear would show up and just scare everybody when they opened doors and things. So the last night, it was about almost 2 a.m, and we park in an RV out in front of their cabin, the girls' cabin. So I get a phone call, and I hear a bunch of cackling, and there's girls on the porch taking pictures, and I'm like, they put that bear outside my door. So, I'm going to play along with a little. And then I get a phone call, there's a real bear outside. Don't step outside your RV. So I get on the ground in the RV. I crawl to the front. I'm going to run around the front and scare the girls because I know they're playing a prank on me. Here, there's 4 live bears outside my RV, and they're feeding them from the deck safely, throwing bananas and all kinds of other stuff. Babies are coming up, whatever. And luckily, I didn't step out of the RV because they would have seen how fast I really was and would have been made for a good YouTube video. That's for sure.
And just to talk about that too with the stuffed bears. I mean, Coach. I mean, that's one of those. I saw the video that you sent too, and we need to get this swirling on socials too. It was great too. And I believe you sent the picture as well. I mean, talking about this experience though. I feel like this is what when we talk to a lot of coaches in the area that go on these trips to the Myrtles, to the Tennessees, I feel like the games become almost secondary at that point. And this is the reason why the team's here. And these are the moments you kind of look forward to. And then the games, obviously, they're getting better, trying to get through the season. But it feels like these kind of trips, these are the moments that they're meant for.
Exactly. Yeah, we always say softball was our excuse to get together down there, but it's all business, of course, when we play. So there was one game where we didn't quite play the way we wanted, and we had to toss that right in the rearview mirror so we can enjoy the evening, get back to it the next day, and attempt to win. The pursuit of winning is fun too. I told them, sometimes it don't go your way, but just that pursuit together, hopefully we'll draw some more W's down the line. But I will say, I think we're the first team in Salem history in any sport to beat a team from Maine.
And there's more accomplishments for this team. I mean, we got some great teams all around here too, Coach. And you got some great players too showing out too. Freshman Channing Toy, you said, leading the team with a 4.29 average. And I mean, I just want to hint on this, and I want to just highlight this. From freshman play, we're seeing a lot of freshmen stepping up too. And just in your coaching experience, what are you starting to see from just younger, talented girls coming up through the ranks?
In our regard, some of them are traveling earlier, which is helping. You know, Channing, she had her first year of travel, and her sister Chase. There's no secret why they're the top 2 batting averages right now. There are only 2 girls that work year round, and that shows because they've been through the fire all year. Channing's just a student of the game. I mean, it's softball 24/7 for the Toy sisters, and that is a little unique to our program. So we relish it. And, there's leadership from the freshman position, and even her sister, the junior. Both of them are leaders in the way they carry themselves and their passion for the game.
I believe we've had Riley Troy on the show as well, too. You wanted to highlight the 5 wins, too, on the 5-7 season so far. And, of course, still early in the season and still a lot of softball left to be played. But Riley's responsible for your 5 wins in the circle. And just talk about her pitching influence and how big she's been at the start of the season.
You'll never tell the score by Riley. You know, we could be down 10 or up 10, and her demeanor's the same way. She doesn't she leads in the circle. She doesn't blame others, things like that. I could throw her out there. She'll say, hey, I'm a little tired, but I got you, and I constantly going back to her, but she'll never not want in a game. So sometimes I have to protect her from herself in that regard, but that's what you want. A competitor that's willing to, go out every single night if you asked her to, and give you everything she's got. And the girls follow that leadership of her and Jenna McClish in center field there.
And talking about this team too, and just some of the upcoming games now that you have coming out of the trip. And a lot of teams after these spring break trips, it seems like conference play just really starts hitting at full blow. But you guys have kind of been playing in your conference before that too. But what are some games coming up that you're excited for the girls to get out there and compete against?
Howland tonight, if we're supposed to get it in. I mean, they're a team that beat us 20-10 last year. I know they're a solid program. There's bats 1 through 9. So I want to see how we match up there. Of course, West Branch is always circled. They know it's circled. I mean, I've heard that through the game, and the references to the green team from the crowd. So it's a lot of fun with that rivalry, of course. And each time we play a team the second time, we're looking to improve. Again, I'm not going back to just that we have 2 travel ball players, but the more we play, I feel the better we get. And every team's probably that way, but I think we needed a little more just because they're not playing all year. So, second half, they're a lot more experienced. So those second times we play those conference games, I want to see how we line up compared to the first time if it didn't go our way, or even if it did go our way, if we were able to learn from it and do better. And historically, we've done better in the second game of all conference games the last 8 years.
Does a trip like this come as almost perfect timing too in the season where you're trying to get these freshmen and these newer girls acclimated to the team and acclimated to the varsity level of softball? Does this trip kind of come at the right time for you guys?
It 100% comes at the right time. I mean, to share Easter together, we went to a sunrise service just to get our faith involved with it a little for those that wanted to go. I mean, to watch that sunrise service over the mountain, and there was a cross in the sky and the clouds, and just to share in all that and the whole trip in general. When they come back, there's a special bond. The only thing we try to neglect from that is sometimes there's a little letdown because of the emotions going to the trip so hard. So that's our job as coaches. I already sat the girls down a little on the way home and told them that's coming. That's going to come those first 3-4 days. You're going to feel like you're still there. And we put so much into it that I think it recharges the batteries, at least physically and mentally, if you allow it.
Do you think that the way the last couple of seasons have kind of played out with just the way all teams have to suffer through the pandemic going on, the COVID year, the year that wasn't rather, do you think all the emotions that were kind of pent up from those years are kind of getting exploited in these kind of years now where we're seeing things open up? We're seeing these trips, the trips to Myrtle, the trip to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, all these things are starting to open up again. Do you think it's kind of a culmination of these last couple of years of teams just wanting to get back out there?
You're 100% right. I imagine the other teams will say the same thing. I mean, they're not going to take this trip for granted. Like, oh, we'll go again next year, because you never know. So they're living each year. I mean, this year starting that like this is going to be it. You never know next year. And then for the seniors, there is no next year. They missed out on the last two because we went 18 and 19. So even things like, I mean, we went go-karting after Easter on the Easter morning, and we walked by some of these UTVs, those big souped-up dune buggy things. And we looked over at the seniors, and I seen their eyes light up. We're like, hey, let's go get it. So we went up the mountain, cruised the strip, radio blasting, singing, having a good time, like it was our last time going. And for them, it is. But in reference to like COVID, you're thinking, these girls, this could be the last trip. We don't know what the future holds. So, after the games were over, it's live it like it's your last trip. And then we'll plan on next year too.
Coach, I've been asking a lot of coaches that come on this question, and I kind of want to extend the question to you just to kind of see what culture and everything is with it. What does your ideal dugout look like?
Loud leaders, quiet leaders, everybody on the same page, up against the fence, pulling for one another genuinely. I've seen it before. I mean, we took 25 girls down there, no drama. The drama's been we've done a great job since we've been there, and that's a reference to the players herself. I mean, you got 25 girls down there, and we didn't have any drama. That I noted. I mean, I'm sure there was things that happened. I think our biggest fight was over the last homemade meatball, and that was about the only drama we brought back. So even in the dugout all the way through the year, this trip will make them closer, but the dugout itself, and we got girls that don't say a word. Channing Toy may say one word a year. This is her freshman year, but the way she carries herself in her sister, say everything you need to know. And then you have your vocal leaders, your McClish's. I mean, we have a good balance of that. And now it's time to get to winning.
Doubling down on that and just going into, I guess, that sort of realm now. And no doubt that, I mean, you guys have gotten wins. You guys are in a good spot, I think, right now at I believe 5-7 going into tonight. So you guys are at that good spot right now. But in saying that too, we know that every kind of team goes through their up years, their down years. It feels like every team does. But I feel like the best of the best coaches are still able to define success outside of just the wins and losses. So in saying that, I feel like it's a word that has a definition, but it has a definition that means something different to each coach. So in saying that, what does success look like to you? And I'll leave you with it. I'll leave this question with you too. This will be our last one.
Well, it's like girls come back this week. We had 3 alumni show up before our trip, I should say. We had an alumni show up in Tennessee, Bailey Thorne and her family. To know that, this program means so much to them, and that these girls, it'll mean that much now and for the rest of their life. I mean, I told them we're winners every time we're together, and we're together for the rest of our life. So in that regards, we're winners. I mean, we still want to win on the field. We want to continue to get better. We got to put in the work. But we're winners no matter what at the end of the season.
You guys are doing a fantastic job. Salem athletes are always incredible too. You guys have a great group of girls over there. I know they're making your hair grow wild right now, Coach, but I'm sure you wouldn't have it any other way either.
That's it. Rock on.
Yes. Coach Michael Thorpe, I thank you so much for your time. We wish you the best of luck for the remaining season too, and we look forward to talking some Quaker softball again real soon.
Hey, I love those Lady Quakers. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. As Michael Thorpe chimes in from the Salem Quaker softball team, talking a little bit about that Pigeon Forge, Tennessee trip. And we really like getting these coaches on to highlight these trips that they were able to do with these schools. And another exciting one for the Salem Quakes, and the Bears story, no doubt one. And this is one that Coach Thorpe was sending me to a little bit through emails prior to the show. And it's a funny story, and I'm so glad he brought it up too. And the wild set of hair too. Can't beat it. Can't find anyone like him. Coach Thorpe doing a great job over there with the Quakers. We look forward to our continued coverage of them too. He actually mentioned, Coach Thorpe did, about the game against Howland, supposed to be on the schedule tonight, and I believe correct, that is going to be on the docket tonight. I want to kind of go into some other games that we're going to be having on the network tonight as we await for our golf guru, Brian Tolnar, coming up at 1, as well as Scotty Minch are going to be on the show today as well. Yes, Howland at Salem, scheduled for tonight on the softball realm, as well as Fairport at Badger, Alliance at Louisville, and Jefferson at Struthers. Game on the network tonight in the softball realm, Crestview at LeBray. Brian Oatridge looking to have the call for you on that one. some games on the baseball side of things that we're going to be having on the network tonight. It's going to be Crestview at Brea, East Palestine at Latonia, Harrison Central at Edison, Heartland Christian at Lisbon, Maplewood at Badger, and then Poland at South Range. Those are just games happening around the area. Here are the list of games on the network tonight. 4 p.m. start time, Columbiana at Wellsville. Joe Eusebio going to be on the call for you on that one. 4:30 p.m. start time, Beaver Falls at Mohawk. Chris Sigler going to be on the call for you on that one. 4:45 start time, Lakeview at Austintown Fitch. Yours truly will be there for that one. Salem at Minerva, a 5 p.m. start time on that. Derek Rhodes going to be calling that one for you. Over at Bob Scene Field, number 1, it is going to be West Branch at Cardinal Mooney, and Alec Caberna going to have the call for you on that one at 5 p.m. 6 p.m. start time, Columbiana at Wellsville. Second game of, I believe, a doubleheader for those two. Joe Eusebio going to take you through that one as well. On Scene 2, there will be a couple of games going on the docket for the night. First at 5 p.m. start time, the owner himself, DJ Yoakley, going to be on the calls for Matthews at Warren JFK, 5 p.m. start time at Scene 2, and then Waterloo at McDonald, a 7 o'clock start time on Scene 2 for the owner, DJ Yoakley, that's going to be on the call for both of those games over at Scene 2. Of course, go to ysnlive.com/live to see the list of live games tonight, as well as use our QR code. We talked about it earlier in the show. The new QR code that is going to be on our socials, too, to get you to the live games for the night and see what's on the docket for you. Of course, absolutely free, thanks to our sponsors, and that we're able to make these games absolutely free to you. All of our area sponsors and all your local sponsors, get out there and support them as we look forward to gaining more sponsors and representing more local area sponsors. And if you are interested in becoming a sponsor for not only this show, but for YSN in general, you can go to our sponsorship tab on our site, ysnlive.com, and get the information you need there as well, including phone numbers, emails, and other things of that nature, too, to get yourself set up for a sponsorship, too. Again, find that on ysnlive.com. As you want to speak on sponsorships too, and a cool commercial that was kind of released too. I don't know if you follow, and if you don't, you should follow DJ Yoakley over on his social media pages too, but on Facebook, releasing a commercial rather, of a new sponsorship we have in Envelope 1, and a very cool commercial too. DJ does a great job of getting all those commercials in store for all of our local sponsors too. I believe it's going to be making its debut and its rounds today around the network too. So keep your eye open and catch the new commercial that's going to be making its rounds from Envelope 1, another sponsor that we are so excited, local sponsor that we are so excited to bring to you and showcase for the area as well. As we were talking about the golf guru Brian Tolnar, he's going to be coming up at 1 o'clock, and we also said so is Scotty Minchard too. He's going to be coming up right around the same time as well, so we'll look forward to both of them coming up here very shortly. Before they do so, we brought up the big dogs. I also want to look back at these power rankings prior to us getting into it, and we're going to talk with Scotty about these games. And we talked about the games that are coming up tonight, and here's where I wanted to kind of give you the visual of the power rankings while we talk about the big games that are in store for tonight. As we look going forward, Crestview at Brea is going to be a big one too. It's going to be on the network as well. We'll see if Brea can try to get themselves into this list, knock off Crestview, who is surging right now. We see Salem trying to get some traction. Howland playing them, though, and Howland's another team on the outside looking in, you figure, for these power rankings on the softball side. Alliance at Louisville is another one, too. That's going to be interesting to see the results of when that goes forward. And then we go over to the baseball realm. A lot more games, it looks like, going on in this side of things. Has Columbiana at Wellsville is going to be going on. That's a power ranked team going to be playing tonight. Salem at Minerva is going to be big for the Quakers, trying to keep themselves situated on this list somewhere. Matthews at Warren JFK is going to be huge because I believe those are both Division 4 teams too. So it's JFK playing, I believe, cross division. I think Matthews is Division 4. If not, they might be D3. But I believe JFK, Matthews, D4. So you're playing right across the docket, same division there. That's going to be good competition, you would think, for the Eagles. That'll be fun tonight. And of course, I believe we said, looking at that one, yes, DJ Yoakley going to have the call on that one. Lakeview at Fitch. This one's that I'm going to be at. I'm excited for this one. A battle of 5 versus 9. Fitch holding the 1 victory over Lakeview on the season and a chance to go 2 for 2. It's always tough to beat a team twice. Lakeview having to come back into Austintown. Remember that first game was played on the turf as well. And it's just out there in Cortland, Ohio. And for Coach at Lakeview, just having a trouble with the field conditions at Cortland. Water sits on the Lakeview field, and it really they have so much trouble getting games in. So Lakeview traveling again to Austintown. I believe that was the second game now. I don't know if they rescheduled this game to be at Lakeview as well. The first game in the season, earlier in the season, was scheduled to be at Lakeview, and they had to move it to Austintown to weather conditions back then. And I don't know if they decided to, because they already played one at Austintown, they would play the next one at Lakeview, and then same kind of situation where weather kind of kept them off of the field. But Coach Carson going to bring his squad down to Fitch again, try to get the win. It was a close game in that one, and I'm not mistaken, I believe Fitch took a lead late in that game in the 6th inning. Lakeview had actually been leading up until that point, so Falcons coming away with a late victory nonetheless against the Bulldogs of Lakeview. But this is going to be a big game for Lakeview, trying to come up and move their way up the power rankings. We also said West Branch at Cardinal Mooney is going to be a fun one, too, as the Warriors trying to make a case. They're looking really good, too, are the Warriors on the baseball side. And these are kind of two teams, too, between West Branch and Cardinal Mooney that if you're looking at teams that are sitting in probably like 11 to 15 range, I feel like it's fair to say that both West Branch and Mooney are probably sitting somewhere in that 11 to 15 range. And this is a huge game, too. Alec Caberna going to be on the call, 5 o'clock, scene 1. It's going to be a huge game between the Cardinal Mooney Cardinals and the West Branch Warriors to see which one of those teams is going to really stand out as being that team that's almost waiting in the reserves to get onto this list. And I think this is going to be a big game for both teams to kind of open some eyes to some area voters and some of YSN voters, I should say, for next week's power rankings. And looking forward to some other games on the night. How about East Palestine and Latonia? Palestine been able to get some wins too. They're going to look to continue rolling against the Bears inside a conference matchup on that one. Harrison Central at Edison, we talked about. That's going to be fun to see too if the Wildcats are ready to bounce back. I believe that's conference opponent down there as well. Heartland and against Lisbon. How can you not talk about Poland at South Range too? Anytime you mention these two teams, I feel like you got to talk about it. South Range sitting at number 3. Poland obviously not on this list too, but a team that is a quality baseball team and can beat the best of the best. They've competed with teams such as the likes of Austintown Fitch too, that when I've seen the Bulldogs a couple of times this season, both games, they were competing with the Falcons. Curious to see how this one's going to turn out. Any 8 matchup too, and this would be a huge win nonetheless for the Bulldogs if they're able to come away with a victory against South Range tonight. South Range trying to keep a hold and a tight grasp on that NE8 conference as they look to come away with another conference crown, as the Raiders have been looking very strong coming back from Myrtle, and they are looking to continue that play into the conference as weeks go along. Coach Hannock was on yesterday talking about such. Waterloo and McDonald we talk about also on the network tonight. As the slate of games, we'll be picking them a little bit later with our good friend Scotty Mincher as he looks to come on the show, as well as our golf guru himself, Brian Tolnar, going to come back on to Running Point. He's going to have some things to talk about with not only Mill Creek, but just golf in general too, as I believe he's going to be wanting to preview too that new tips segment that's going to be coming to you on ysnlive.com. Always looking to give you new avenues of content too. And some people were just saying, Brian, having just a couple minutes on the tip segment per week was not enough. They wanted him to have his whole thing, and I think we agreed too. The superstar, Brian Tolnar himself. We look forward to him coming up at 1 o'clock. Little bit of house cleaning I wanted to do for the guests that we're going to be having on the show in the coming days as well. I wanted to give a chance to really preview the guests we have coming on in the next coming days. Well, at least for tomorrow at 12:30. We went Salem softball today at 12:30. We're going to go to the baseball diamond tomorrow, and it's going to be Coach Michael DeBar of the Salem Quakers baseball team coming on tomorrow, and it's going to be fun talking with him too, as the Quakers, I believe, also getting back home from a spring break trip as well. I feel like they were down in Myrtle while the softball team was in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. I could be wrong on that, but correct me if I'm wrong on that for sure. But I think they're coming back from that too. We'll double check. But nonetheless, still going to be a great conversation with Coach DeBar. Just a mid-season check-in too with this Quakers baseball team that's still standing in our power rankings. They've suffered a couple of losses, some growing pains, if you will, trying to kind of figure out their identity. But no doubt, I think the Quakers are one of those teams that are looking to get back up and running too. And we're looking forward to talking with Coach DeBar again. That's coming up tomorrow at 12:30. I believe we also have another guest coming on. It's going to be Nate Holt of Champion Baseball. We're going to be having him come on as well. We're going to be looking forward to both those interviews. Again, 12:30 tomorrow, I should say, for both of those interviews. So stay tuned for that one as we look for Thursday's edition of Running Point. Friday, too, we always know it's going to be fun. You never know who's going to pop in. We have a couple of coaches that are talking about coming on Friday. We want to make sure we get them confirmed, and then we'll start previewing them for you. But one man that needs no preview and little introduction, because he's a legend week in, week out. Every time he comes in, he's making another Wednesday edition. No Anthony this week, but it is Scotty Mincher himself. And Scotty, how we doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Ty, and you're too kind. It's good to be on, even though Anthony's not here. It's always great to be a part of Running Point and Power Hour. But to be on today, always look forward to Wednesday. So it's my favorite day of the week.
As even though Anthony's not on, and I know you can't bust his chops about liking Chiefs baseball or Chiefs football and Royals baseball today, we could still talk some local sports, and I'm sure you have some great topics you want to talk about as well, Scott.
Yeah, sure. I know we were gonna hit some local stuff, and then there's a few things I had in mind. Too. I just got a brand new Guardians hat, as you could see, and they have a big double header today. So it's a big one after getting swept by the Giants. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about, so I won't delay it anymore.
As we'll go right into just some of the local games that we have going into tonight, too. We'll have that coming up a little bit later. But before we do that, too, we also have to get in another legend in the sports world, too. But we got to go into the golf side of things, Scotty. We're going to be bringing in Brian Tolnar himself, too, the golf guru, the golf legend himself. He's going to be joining us today. Brian, how we doing today, sir?
I'm doing awesome. How about you guys? We finally got some sun, and the weather looks quasi-decent.
I mean, I got to imagine, too, the courses after yesterday's snowstorm, too, trying to get these back in shape has probably been a lot of work for the grounds crew. How are the courses looking today, Brian?
Well, we're coming off 2 days of snowy weather and snow cover and heavy frost this morning, but maintenance crews managed to get everything in and back on track to where we got some golfers back out on the golf course today at 10. So just nice to be able to get there finally. It's been slow coming. The sunshine's been hit or miss for the month of April so far. The weekend looks great. If we can dodge some of the rain on possibly Thursday or Friday, I think we'll be in great shape, knowing that it's going to be in the 80s over the course of the weekend on Saturday and Sunday. But there's our guys that definitely have their work cut out for them, just trying to get the golf course ready and get the snow out of here and greens cut and so on and so forth.
They do a great job down there getting them ready in such short notice with the crazy weather that we always have to battle through, Brian. You talked to me a little bit earlier prior to the show today about the Zurich Classic going on to today. And I don't want to take any of the spotlight away from it. I'm going to let you just spotlight it all yourself on this one with the Zurich Classic going on.
Well, it's a neat event this week, knowing that PGA Tour doesn't play too many team events. It's a two-player team event with two different formats during the course of the week. The first round and third round is going to be alternate shot, and the second and fourth round is going to be one best ball of two. So it's something that you don't normally see on the PGA Tour. However, winners this week will get 800 FedEx Cup points, 400 apiece. For winning the event, along with about $1.5 million in their cut of the tournament purse. So, playing for about $8 million this week, and the winner's taking home 1.5 apiece. That's a pretty healthy week. You get the 2-year exemption for winning a PGA Tour event. You've got a lot of common household names playing with guys that you've never heard of before as well, because a lot of guys will take off. Not only the week after the Masters, but if you played at the RBC Heritage over the course of the weekend down at Hilton Head, a lot of guys will play those two tournaments and kind of go dormant for a week or two as they prepare themselves for the rest of the season. So you'll have a lot of players on the Korn Ferry Tour, a lot of players on the European Tour crossing over this week to really get a jump on having an opportunity of being able to ride a partner's coattails to get 2 years exemption on the PGA Tour. I think it's a unique event. It's something that the PGA Tour started, I want to say, about 4 or 5 years ago, after about a 20 or 30 year hiatus. They used to do these down in Florida during the course of the off season, but for whatever reason, they did a lot of individual tournaments over the past course of the 20 or 30 years. You'd have to go back to like Sam Snead playing in multiple events that had either an alternate shot format or a best ball or a scramble format. So that you're going to see basically 2 of these events wrapped up in one, having the players paired. Now they do one of these events at the end of the year. Greg Norman hosts the Shark Shootout. So it's something that you'll see, but they play a different format all 4 days down there. But this one's very unique because you are playing your own ball, and you do have to give your partner some help, especially when it comes to the alternate shots. So we're heading to Louisiana this week, playing the TPC of Louisiana down in Avondale. It's a par 72. It's 7,400 yards. It's got a healthy dose of very long par threes. I want to say they're all over 200 yards. I think 207, 214, 216, 221. So those are very healthy when it comes to par threes that we're accustomed to playing on a weekly or daily basis here up in our region of the country. So it'll be a nice test for them. They'll take advantage of the par fives. And I think the teams that drive the ball well and hit a lot of greens will give themselves an opportunity to put themselves, to set themselves apart from the rest of the field. So we got a very good field this week, very good Power 5 lineup for you this week. If you're a betting man, there's some teams that I think could do extremely well, but fun tournament. And it's a tournament that we're not accustomed to on the PGA Tour, being a fan and getting to see too often. So it's nice to be able to see one of these events that has a partner feel to it once a year.
What are some teams we're kind of looking at then for this event, Brian, that you're kind of excited to get a chance to see, and you're just excited to bring in?
Well, if we start the Power 5, I'll start in the 5th spot, and I think this is a team that's really everybody's favorite this week. Especially from the betting odds. It's Hovland and Morikawa. They were high school and college teammates. They're very familiar with playing together. They travel together. They're the favorite that everybody has. I've got them in my 5th spot. It's big shoes being the favorite of a tournament, but having the opportunity to look at the rest of the teams in the field, I've got them in my number 5 spot this week. Coming in at number 4 is Hatton and Willett. Danny Willett's playing great. So is Terrell Hatton. Willett played great in the Masters, obviously a former Masters champion, sort of went dormant there for about a 2 or 3 year stretch, but has seemed to found his form and is back, driving the ball well again and doing the things that he did when he was winning golf tournaments here in the United States and over in Europe. So I've got, the team of Hatton and Willett as my number 4 this week. Coming in at number 3, another European Ryder Cup team pairing, and that's Tommy Fleetwood and Sergio Garcia. Both of them come off a great campaign at Augusta 2 weeks ago. Sergio, obviously his putter's been the bulky part of his career, especially the latter stages in the last probably 8 to 10 years. But when you've got someone like Tommy Fleetwood helping you out from tee to green, I think he's going to have a boatload of opportunities to make some birdies. And I think those guys will be in pretty good shape. Coming in at number 2 this week is Patrick Cantley and Xander Schofley. Both of those guys make a ton of birdies on the PGA Tour, whether it's playing an individual event or just playing out in a major or WGC event. So I think when you pair two players that are very similar in driving length together, they're going to be familiar with the type of irons that they're going to hit in the holes, whether it be, a long drive off the tee and hitting a shorter mid iron into a hole. They're going to be about the same club coming into a green. So I think having players that have similar attributes to the clubs that they hit is really going to help one another when it comes to a team format. And our number 1 pick this week is going to be Ryan Palmer and Scotty Scheffler. So you've got Ryan Palmer, who's a former winner with John Rahm, who's played extremely well in these team events. And you've got Scotty Scheffler, who's the number 1 player in the world coming off a win at the Masters. And it's probably hands down in the past 2 months playing some of the best golf of anybody on the PGA Tour. And I think if you put, in an older statesman like Ryan Palmer, I say older statesman, he's 44 years old, as I'm 44, 45. I don't see myself as an older statesman, but from PGA Tour standards, 45 is you've seen better days on the PGA Tour. So I think if you pair them with a player that's playing well like Scotty Scheffler that moves the ball long off the tee, I think Ryan Palmer is really licking his chops and having having those short irons in the holes, something that he's not accustomed to, but he's probably one of the best wedge players in the game from 100, 125 yards and in. He's very accustomed to dealing with wind conditions, growing up in Texas. And I think that's going to help him this week going to Louisiana, where it's normally hot and rather windy. So I've got Ryan Palmer and Scotty Scheffler, world number 1 ranked player and 2022 Masters champion, as our number 1 seed in this week's Tolnar's Top 10.
As that's I gotta agree with you. I mean, Scotty Scheffler, I just want to see him start setting the world on fire. I think everyone wants him to be that guy. Before we go into our little bit local golf, into our Mill Creek golfs too, Scotty, I want to open the floor to you if you have any questions for Brian about the PGA Tour that you wanted to ask him.
I just have one question. We talked about a lot of the parity in golf last week, and you mentioned the pairings and Scotty Scheffler and him leading the way, taking the number 1 spot this week. But I wanted to ask you, Brian, in my lifetime, now to give you a bit of background, I was born in '88, so I'm 33. Do you think golf is strongest point as far as parity wise? Do you think as far as parity it's the strongest it's been in a long time? Or do you think that it's golf has been that way for a while, but just people have kind of missed on some guys? Because I feel like this year, especially with the Masters, I feel like there's just so much parity. So what are your thoughts? Do you think it's the highest we've ever seen in golf?
Personally, I think it is. And I think if you go back to the 60s and 70s, I started watching golf in the late 80s, early 90s. So I don't go back all that far from a person that's been playing the game, over 30 some years. But I mean, knowing the history of the game, you had the big 3. You had Palmer, you had Nicklaus, and you had Gary Player, really scorching through the late 50s, 60s, and up until about the mid 70s. Those guys started, phasing out in the mid 70s and, transitioned in and started the senior tour in like 84, 85, somewhere in there. They played about 6 events a year on the senior tour at that standpoint up until about maybe early 1990, when the senior tour is what it is right now, where it's a weekly occurrence of 54 holes, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But, you know, going back to, you know, after the big three was pretty much wrapped up, you had Jack Nicklaus to a point. I wouldn't say he was in his heyday, but you had Tom Watson come along. You had Johnny Miller come along. So that, you know, mid to late 70s stretch, you really always had, you know, 3-4 big guns at that time. You know, going into the 80s, you know, Curtis Strange, Freddie Couples. I mean, there's one time that Curtis Strange was going for 3 U.S. Opens in a row, which is unheard of. You know, let alone to win them back to back like he did. So I mean, you had really good competition with Greg Norman and Raymond Floyd and that group. So I mean, there was always that, I want to say 3 or 4 person pod of every decade if you look back into it. And, you know, obviously, you know, the 90s ushered in Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson and Ernie Els and Vijay Singh. But beyond that, there really hasn't been that power 3 that have really grabbed that saddle and said, you know, the PGA Tour is going to ride us for the next decade. I mean, you've had, you know, shots of brilliance between Jordan Spieth and Dustin Johnson and you name it. There's been like a flavor of the month for a 2-year period, and then they sort of fall back, and another 2-year period, and they sort of, you know, fall back. And, you know, Thomas was another one that's played well, but hasn't done anything, you know, as of late. Dustin Johnson had that great stretch here, you know, 2 and 3 years ago, and then sort of teetered off a little bit. Spieth, you know, he doesn't dump the ball in the water to give Tiger that Masters win in 18 or 19 or whatever, you know, Tiger's last Masters win was. I mean, he would have been coming off winning 2 or 3 majors in a 2 or 3 year span there with the British Open and the, you know, the tournaments that he's had the opportunity to win. So I think it's been sort of up and down as we've got into the, let's say, the decade of 2010 and the decade of 2020 that's just started here. Scotty Scheffler, you know, I'd like to see him get on a run, but beyond a 2-year stretch, there really hasn't been that player like Tiger Woods did in '97 that just really elevated that bar to the point where no one could catch him. And when you're winning 80 some times in that, you know, 30-year span or 25-year span, it's a pretty big deal. But I don't see any player being that dominant. The players are too good. The equipment is too good. The prize money is extremely high. I think, you know, back when Nicklaus and Palmer and Player, if you added up their career earnings, they probably made less than what Tiger Woods did in a year, in an average year. So I think, you know, the bar, if you wanted to feed your family and eat and survive on the PGA Tour, you really had to win a number of golf tournaments in the 70s, the 80s, and even up till when Tiger came till about 1995. They weren't playing for that top amount of money that you see week in and week out. I mean, these guys, if you're in a top 100, top 125, you're a millionaire. You're living extremely comfortable. Your sponsors are paying for you to travel. You've got net jets that picking you up at any airport that you want to. You're traveling with your buddies. You're renting a house on the beach at Hilton Head or, you know, Harbor Town or wherever. So it's a very different ball game. I think the players now are more friends than foes. I think, you know, obviously Nicklaus and Player and Palmer got along, but I think at the end of the day, when the chips were down, they wanted to step on each other's throat. Now it's like, if I win, I finish second, I'm going to make $1.5 million versus $1 million. And at the end of the year, I'm going to make 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 million. And I'm going to make probably a couple $1 million in endorsements before I even tee it up. So I think, I want to say the interest level is still there from a PGA Tour perspective, but I think the necessity to win and being able to survive and travel and do the things that you want to do are very different than the 70s, 80s, and, you know, up until the mid 90s compared to what they are today. I mean, there's so much prize money week in and week out. I mean, you look at Tiger, you look at Phil, those guys are making $80 million, $100 million in endorsements before they tee a ball up for a sport that they're going to win, you know, maybe $6 to $10 million in. So, you know, their money's on the back end, and their money is while they play. So, I mean, is it important as it was in 1990 or 1992 when, you know, Greg Norman won 6 or 7 times, was ranked number 1 for at that point then the longest period of time on the PGA Tour. I think we're very, very different. I think there is a lot of parity, very similar to me to what the NFL used to be, or what it kind of is now, where every team has a chance to win, whether they're 0-12 or 5-10 or whatever the record is. I think you're seeing that with the PGA Tour. However, I think the game of golf, because of the parity, is more healthy now. Getting people involved, player development, accessibility, inclusion, I think is better than it ever has been with the game of golf. When I started playing, kids weren't allowed at country clubs till after 2:00. Women couldn't tee off till afternoon at some point. So we've come a very long way with making the game of golf accessible, affordable, and open to everybody. And I think that that's probably what I'm more proud of than, some of the stuff that the guys are playing for on the PGA Tour. It's great as a fan to be able to watch that, but the more people, the more masses that we get to this game, I think is paramount to our success. I mean, when Tiger came in, he brought 3.8 million people. When COVID came in, we brought 8 million people to the game. So it's almost tripled what Tiger brought. And it was huge back in the, mid to late 90s. So we're in a great place right now. And it's just a matter of keeping the momentum. But as a fan, you certainly would love to see another big three, a Mickelson, a Tiger, and an Ernie Els, and a Vijay Singh duking it out week in and week out, where it was like cutthroat. But I think, the way of life and the way that the professional ranks of the game of golf have come is very different now than it was in years past.
And talking about the game of golf and the inclusivity and the way that Mill Creek kind of helps up with that, we have some events that we want to talk about too. And I want to go a little bit in depth with the Par 3 Kids Golf League and the junior golf, the summer junior golf camp too that you mentioned. And then you also mentioned too with the ladies getting event. You got those sold out too, some events too. So I want you to highlight all of these too, just for Mill Creek events coming up too, and how they can get involved and get included in the game of golf.
You got it. The popularity of our sport's been really good the last 2-3 years. Obviously, with COVID, we're stricken in what we could do and our availability to teach. So we opened up camps and stuff last year. Our ladies golf school, our ladies preseason clinic sold out in a matter of less than a week. Our PGA Junior League, the first team sold out in 12 days. The first team sold out in 12 minutes. The second team sold out in about an hour. So kids coming into the game, it was a great avenue for that. So we're at capacity with those. We do however, have a Par 3 league for boys and girls ages 5 to 15 available on Saturday mornings. The boys will play at 8. It's a shotgun start. They'll be done about 9:30, 10. Our girls league starts at 10, and they're done just around about noon. So we do have some great resources and some great leagues for them. They're depending upon which league you're in. You're either 10 or 12 weeks. We do a little scramble with the kids. We do weekly different pairings, so you get to meet everybody that's in the league, and that's our goal over a 12-week span. We do a nice banquet at the end of the year. We do a mid-year team scramble. So it's an individual event. You get the opportunity to go to our Par 3 course with mom or dad on the bag, because they're going to caddy for you, because their parents are all part of this. We want the family to be involved. So it's a chance for mom and dad to go share a morning together, maybe hit Dunkin' Donuts afterwards for breakfast or before, like my wife does with our son on Saturday mornings at the Mill Creek Metro Parks Par 3. And we've got anywhere from, 36 to 88 kids, depending upon the year and where the numbers and stuff fall. But we have that both for boys and girls at the Par 3. In addition to that, we have about 8 spots left in our summer golf camp at the Maine golf course, which is basically an instructional format, ages 5 through 15. And we have that available on June 13th, 14th, and 15th. And basically we spend from 9 to about 10 or 11, depending upon the day, teaching kids, the fundamentals of putting, chipping, iron play, wood play, bunker play, the rules of golf course etiquette, where to walk, how to fix ball marks on a green, how to replace your divots, just little things that as people get acclimated with the game of golf might not know, what the protocols are. So we want people to, number one, have an opportunity to come out and play at a very inexpensive rate. And number two, really learn what the protocols when you're out in the golf course and learn what's expected of you to maintain the golf course, to keep the conditions as good as they are for you, for the next group behind you. So we really do a lot when it comes to player development here at the Maine golf course. and getting kids acclimated with the game, whether it be PGA Junior League, the Par 3 leagues, the ladies camps and clinics. We'll also do a fall league that spends some time here at the main course with instruction, but we do have some playing time at the Par 3, really trying to interloop all of the golf properties together and give kids the opportunity to play. We have our family fun nights on Fridays and Saturday evenings for $25 for a family of 4. Come out after 5, book a tee time, and basically play all the golf that you want before dark. So it's an opportunity, it's an avenue for your family to get involved. You know, for mom and dad driving you all over the place, we give them the opportunity to come and enjoy a nice evening, very inexpensive evening with their parents and kids playing together. In addition, we added kids tees. I want to say my second year here, you know, knowing that it was important to get youth involved with the game, we added tees that kids can now compete at a shorter distance golf course to where they have an opportunity to putt with a birdie or par when their parents are out playing with them. So it makes the golf course a little bit shorter, and it makes it more accessible to having fun. We want everybody to walk away having a good time, and having that root beer float when you finish in hole 55, or buying your first junior set of clubs, or getting fitted here at the golf shop on a demo day. So we're trying to make it accessible to everybody. PGA Hope, we run that in the fall. So we have a myriad of programs, but you know, the juniors are, you know, obviously the ones we're keying in on right now as of the last couple of weeks of school here wraps up, and getting the kids involved and getting their summers laid out. It's, you know, whether it's the Par 3 league or whether it's a junior golf camp, we want everybody to be involved and have an opportunity to play golf, and we want to be the avenue or the driver to giving them opportunity.
Brian, I'm glad that you said that too, because you guys have been just that too with all the events that Mill Creek has been able to host over the coming weeks too, and over the summer. It looks to be truly exciting too. And I just want to highlight too, before we go to the women's event getting sold out too. And I mean, that just goes to show more people need to get out there and support. I love seeing it too. Get out there and support what Mill Creek Golf has to offer, as well as just all the other events too, that there is so much sporting events for youth to get involved with and ladies to get involved in. Just a lot of things that you guys are offering down there.
Well, thank you. It's something that the staff works hard during the off season. I always get a chuckle. Everybody's like, well, what do you guys do there during the winter? Our winter is pretty much starts in January, because we have the golf shop open with our holiday sales up and through Christmas. And then January and February, we're laying out, going through the printing process and the program setup stages. So getting that rolling from January and in the print form, so we can have that released in February before we hit our golf and travel shows the month of February and March. I mean, it's a busy cycle. We're certainly happy to be a part of it here at Mill Creek. You know, myself, Stacy, our head professional, and our assistant Ryan Turnbull, very active when it comes to growing the game and giving the programming opportunities that come out year in and year out, and making sure that we change those and adjust those. So, you know, the folks that took a clinic or a camp 2 and 3 years ago, we have an avenue, a league, or a program that goes and continues their success as they move on and as they get acclimated with the game. You know, perfect example is, you know, the ladies clinics we've sold out the last couple of years. We've added a ladies 7-at-7 league on Thursday nights. You tee off at 7 o'clock. It's a dead time. Our leagues are pretty much finished up. We shotgun start you. You play 7 holes. You finish before dark. We give some prizes away. We do that for about 10 weeks, and we have a little banquet for them. But just another avenue of, hey, you're learning the game of golf. Now we're giving you an avenue to play and continue on with your passion for the sport. So, you know, we're certainly excited to have those avenues and those programs available. And we've changed, and I tell everybody, adjust, adapt, and evolve is really stamped on everything that we do, because you have to do that to continue to keep climbing that ladder and get better and bigger every single year. So our staff has really bought into it, and they've done a wonderful job of putting the programming together to do so.
We look forward to keep highlighting that program and seeing what Mill Creek Golf has to offer, Brian. Until next Wednesday, we'll be talking to you again real soon.
You got it. Have a great afternoon, guys. Thank you.
You as well, Brian. Brian Tolnar of Mill Creek Golf, always coming on for his Wednesday segments. Always a great talk with him too. Just getting a hint at the local golf too, and he's always a great expert for PGA talk too. And a great question too, Scotty, on just the evolution of golf over the last few years too. And I feel like if there's anyone that sees that up close and personal, it's Brian.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. And like you said, he knows so much. Not just, you know, locally covered a lot of that, but about the national scene of golf too, and it's just something. It is exciting because, like I said, in my 33 years since I've paid attention to golf, I don't remember quite this much parity. So it's good to see.
We love seeing the level of competition too, and it really does make for exciting week-to-week matchups. As we close the book on our golf talk for today, we're going to go into one of our final breaks of the day, come back, and we'll talk some of these local baseball, softball matchups tonight. Scotty and I will make our picks, and we'll see if Scotty has any topics he wants to discuss too. Right after this break on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Working with your family can be stressful at times, but because they're family, you know that you're going to get a loving, honest answer, even when things don't make sense to any problem. Dealing with Medicare can be confusing and overwhelming. That's why here at Myers Family Insurance, we do our best to give you honest and caring answers to all of your questions. Family, like Medicare, isn't always perfect, but when you put others first, the results can be amazing.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance.
Storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local, independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Welcome back, everybody, on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Ty Bartell alongside my man Scotty Mincher here to my right as we look forward to talking some of the games coming up on the docket for tonight. I also wanted to go over some stats we just got in for Joe Roth, unofficial stats too, one of the big dog candidates. I always like getting these too, and if you have any stats on the big dog candidates, you can make sure you send those our way too. We'll make sure we highlight them as well. Batting average for him is .325 on the season with a home run, 8 walks, and then on the mound where he really shines, 1.47 ERA with a 3-1 record, 19 innings pitched, and 32 strikeouts. Again, unofficial stats, but for Joe Roth, he looks like a strong season start as he's averaging just under 2 strikeouts an inning. And if you know anything about baseball, Scotty, that's pretty dominating.
Yeah, that is dominating and not too shabby at the plate either.
No doubt.
Over 300 average.
And I mean, we look at the talent level in this area, Scotty, and I don't know how many games you've been able to catch, but we've had some phenomenal games going on around this area, and it feels like if someone's not throwing a no-hitter or a just dazzling pitching performance night tonight, we're having someone hitting dingers left and right on the baseball diamond, on the softball diamond, something crazy happening every night. What can you say about the talent level that you see in the baseball and softball realm in this area, Scotty?
Well, just going off of the little bit I've been able to see, you talk about the pitching, and it has been something to marvel at, but I just look at some of these offensive outbursts that we've had, in baseball and softball. Last night, Fitch putting up, 17 runs, and we talked about the Fitch program last week on the show with Anthony, and how bright their future looks. So I just, to me, man, these games in high school, in a sense, it always seems like the momentum could change quickly, but now more so than I remember in a long time, definitely when I go back to when I graduated high school in 2008, it just seems like these teams are more balanced now, and that no lead is safe. And Boardman found that out the hard way last night as well. So it's just, these teams are never say die, man. And I just don't think it was quite that way when I was going to school. I mean, when a team would get down by, more than 5 runs or more, they kind of mail it in. But now I'm just not seeing that. So I just point to these teams' determination and tenacity. It's been really impressive.
It's been nice just to see, I think, baseball and softball kind of get back to complete normality again for this season too. And we see it. You've obviously seen it through the professional ranks. You got the Guardians merch you're grabbing up to, Scotty. And I mean, they're doing their thing. Hopefully we get some more wins on the professional side of things with them too. And we hope for a good season with that. But I feel like, especially if you're from this region in Ohio, you have you're truly blessed and you're truly lucky for a number of reasons with the sport of baseball. And here's why. Because if you're really looking at, and you know what, I think DJ and I have had this kind of conversation too, Scotty, but if you're looking at the United States map and you cut it in half, north and south, right? Because the southern states play a lot of baseball. They're playing year round and everything because they have the weather to do so. But if you cut the United States in half, north and south, I would argue, and I would venture to argue, and I think we've all kind of said this on shows collectively on YSN, but I would argue that we have one of, if not the best, talent pools in baseball and softball in the entire northern region of the United States. And I'd even go as far as to say this specific region of Ohio has some of the strongest talent pool as far as baseball and softball talent in the entire northern region as well. And if you haven't gotten out to see a game or catch it on the network whenever you can, and I know the weather has been brutal as far as the rain, the snow, and everything you got to dodge to get there. But if you haven't been able to catch a game, you need to do yourself a favor and do so, because like Scotty said, and I'm going to double down and say it again, the pitching talent that we're seeing in this area, phenomenal, absolutely outstanding how much D1 talent we already are seeing right there on the mound in the circle for the baseball and softball realm, and then also in the batter's box too. Like, we can start rattling off so much D1 college, D2 college, D3, like just college commits in the baseball softball realm that are playing right now, tonight, and this week, that if you haven't gotten a chance to get out there and see them take some hacks in the box or see them light somebody up on the mound or in the circle, you need to do yourself a favor. Get out there in the stands, especially if it's supposed to be warming up, because night in, night out, it seems like we always have some phenomenal talent that is showcased on the network.
Yeah, every night, it's kind of like you gotta, buckle up, fasten your seatbelt, and as T.O. would say, get your popcorn ready, because it seems like on a nightly basis now you're just in for a treat in some way.
No doubt. And I mean, like we talked about no hitters. It seems like we've had, I want to say so far, I think we've seen 7, 8 no hitters already in the season. We've seen a perfect game this season. Like, some incredible stuff in the pitching room. Home runs feel like they're happening left and right every night in the baseball and softball room. We have so much talent. It's why these power rankings are so hard to talk about, Scotty. And we'll get into our picks, but I wanted to leave the floor open to you if you wanted to talk about anything, or if you had any topics you wanted to bring to the table prior to us getting to our picks for the evening before we get out of here.
I did have a quick thing, Ty, and for just those of you that watch and have listened to the show for a long time now. We, especially when Anthony's here, we kind of go back and forth. Ty, I know with him being the Kansas City fan, and you're a Cleveland fan too, although I know you're a big Patriots fan. But I wanted to ask you real quickly, as far as pro sports goes, for the Cavaliers this season and the way it ended, do you view this season as a success, and do you think it's a season that is just going to be, when we look back on it, it'll be a building block to better things? Or do you see it as more of a missed opportunity because the Cavaliers were once as high as the number 4 seed in the East? So how do you view it, and what do you think the Cavs need to do to take that next couple steps to become a legitimate contender?
I mean, obviously, take my opinion for what it's worth and take it with a grain of salt. But I don't think you can be satisfied with being in the play-in tournament and losing 2 consecutive games. I think you got to stay hungry. Of course, you're happy you're there. You're happy you took that next step. You're in this position to play. I want to just see them continue to progress. And I don't think you need to make a whole lot of changes to this team. I think this is a very good team, young. I think they're going to gel. I think Mobley's going to continue to progress. I think Garland's going to get better. I think Sexton, when we have him back, that's going to be like an addition. And even if we don't get him back and we trade him, you're going to get an addition in that area as well. I don't think a whole lot needs to change. I think you got to realize this is one of the youngest teams, but they're one of the most defensively sound teams. I think you stay on that backbone of defense. You're going to learn some things on offense throughout the seasons. I think they're going to be just fine. Obviously, talent's going to continue improving around the league. You're going to draft well. You got to bring in the right free agents as well. But I really like the core of young talent we got with Mobley, with Allen, with Garland. I think that's going to be a healthy big trio for Cleveland for years to come. And hopefully I'm right on that. And hopefully they make that next step in progression in the coming seasons.
And if you want to try to take one positive, one silver lining about the Cavaliers not getting in, well, in short, you could say that most people would say that they would think that the Cavs wouldn't have had a chance in hell against Miami anyway. But the other thing is they get their pick back in this year's NBA draft. They do have a lottery pick now. A lot of times, unless you're picking in the top 5, you don't end up getting an all-star player or a superstar player, but you never know. So my concern with the Cavs, and it's been a concern for 2 years now, is just them being able to stay healthy. A lot of injuries. Jared Allen, I believe he was hurt a spell last year too, and Darius Garland had his back issues this year. He was hurt even in college. He only played like 6 games at Vanderbilt, and then you had Evan Mobley go down a while. So I do think the Cavaliers have a very, very bright future, but there's big questions surrounding the team as far as can this group stay healthy and get the job done, because you saw Ty once Jared Allen, once he especially went down there, the Cavs defense really took a hit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, staying healthy is always part of it, but I can't use that as an excuse. Every team goes through injuries too. Some teams are just luckier than others. And that's the thing with sports. It's a little bit of luck and a whole lot of skill too. And sometimes luck doesn't play in your favor. But for us and going into tonight's slate of games, we're certainly hoping luck plays into the favor of a lot of our schools under the YSN banner that are going out of conference or out of area schools, out of YSN. We also, of course, hope that the games that are all YSN too, we are obviously hoping for a good game nonetheless. Scotty, if you're ready, my friend, I'm going to pull up these picks and we can get into the local area baseball and softball for the evening.
I was born ready. Let's do it.
All righty. As first, we always go ladies first, and we'll start with the game that's on the network tonight, a 5 o'clock start time between Crestview and Brea softball. Brian Oatridge going to have the call. And for me, Scotty, Crestview being ranked on our power rankings, I'm not going to stray away from that. I'll have faith in the Rebels to get it done. I'll go Crestview.
I'm going to go. I've always something about Brea. I know Crestview's hot right now, but I just have a feeling about the Vikings tonight. So give me the Vikings.
Would be a huge win for Brea too, as far as getting a resume for the power rankings. A little bit before that, though, at 4:45 p.m. a start time for Jefferson at Struthers softball. It's Falcons and Wildcats, Scotty. I'll let you take the first pick on this one.
I'm going to go with the Wildcats here. I like Struthers in this matchup. We'll see. Jefferson, like a lot of teams I mentioned earlier, I think, they get down early. They battle back, but I like Struthers. What about you, Ty?
I'm going to go with Struthers as well. I haven't seen a whole lot of Jefferson's softball team. I've seen the baseball team in action a couple of times, but just talking about a 4:45 p.m. start time, talking about the fact that Jefferson's likely in school, and that's an hour drive down to Struthers from Jefferson. So quite the drive, and that's coming right off of school. So that's going to be tough sledding for Jefferson. I think Struthers has a little bit of an advantage going into that. Give me the Wildcats. 5 p.m. start time happening in the area. It's Alliance at Louisville. It's Louisville welcoming in Alliance too, I should say. And I got to go with the Leopards in this one. I'm not going to stray away from YSN schools here.
Yeah, I'll go with the Leopards as well. I just the more I follow these YSN schools, the more we get to cover them and, give them their showcase, the more I'm starting to enjoy it and really get admiration for them. So give me the Leopards.
I really like Louisville too, and it's one of those communities I really start to realize. You really will start to realize how nuts they are for all their area sports. They go crazy down there in Leopard Country. Fairport at Badger, and I got to go same thing here, Scotty. I'm going to go Badger too, not straying away from the YSN schools today.
I just like I love saying Badger, so there was no way I'm picking against them.
Badger Braves tonight, we got the sun out. We're getting games in tonight in the area. I'm just feeling in a YSN mood. This one's all YSN though, so it's going to be tough to pick. It's Howland at Salem. Salem looking for a big win. It was a 20-10 victory last year for the Tigers, but two teams, two different times, and a completely different game. Who do you got in this one, Scotty?
Yeah, I'm going. I think Salem, I think they have vengeance on their mind. The most dangerous animal is a wounded animal. I think they remember last year. So I think Salem gets Howland back tonight.
Howland, I love you, but Coach Thorpe came on the show today, and I can't disrespect him like that. Give me the Quakers in tonight's matchup. We go to the baseball side of things. We have a few games on the docket for you tonight. We'll start there, too. 4 p.m. start time, Columbiana at Wellsville. This is going to be a double header, so we could pick both of them, 4 and 6 p.m. start times. Joe Eusebio on the call for this one. Scotty in this one. Columbiana's look so strong on the baseball side. They're power ranked. I got to go with the Clippers in both of the games in this doubleheader.
Yeah, I like the Clippers as well. They look like a well-oiled machine right now.
Don't forget to get on that big dog voting as Riley Mcelwain is up for it on the Columbiana side of things. Beaver Falls at Mohawk, 4:30 p.m. start time. Chris Siggy, going to be on the call for that one. And Scotty, I've been on it all day, and this is our only team that's invaded Pennsylvania. I'm not going to diss them. Give me the Mohawk.
Yeah, I was thinking the other day, no BS, I was thinking because my mom was cutting my hair, and I was thinking about rocking a Mohawk, but she wouldn't have it. She didn't want it, but I'll go with Mohawk on the diamond though.
Try to go Mohawk too. That would have been something else. You should just do a baseball diamond in your hair. Scotty, that'll work.
I should. I think she would approve of that because sports wise, and it's what we do for a living. So
what we do is indeed, Scotty. Salem at Minerva, 5 p.m. start time. Derek Rhodes on the call. It's at Minerva, but I'm not going against the Quakers. I think they're going to get hot at the right time. Give me Salem baseball.
You said Salem at Minerva, and I have to agree. I would go with Salem as well.
Couple of teams too. On the outside looking in is West Branch at Cardinal Mooney. This is at Bob Scene 1. Alec Caberna has the call at 5 p.m. Scotty, I'll let you open up this one. West Branch at Mooney, but it's at Scene Park. Who do you got?
I'm going to go with the Cardinals here, and reading and talking about them a little bit last week and everything, all my research that I've done, they've been impressive. So give me the Cards.
Yes. I'm going to go West Branch in this one for the sake of splitting, Scotty. And you know what? Cardinal Mooney's been impressive. They brought it close against Ursuline 8-7, but because West Branch is surging too, I'm going to go Warriors. We go Lakeview at Fitch. I'll be at this game, 5 o'clock start time, 4:45 start time. On that one. They just moved that back. 4:45 start time on this one. Lakeview's looking hot. Coach Carson's doing a great job, but Falcons only suffering 1 defeat on the season. I got to go Fitch on this one, Scotty.
Yeah, only one loss. Lakeview, they can sneak up on you though. I'm going with Lakeview.
That's
to pull off a bit of a upset.
Would be a huge win for Lakeview. Would definitely do him justice in the power rankings. The man, the myth, the legend himself, the owner, as we call him in the YSN world. Matthews at Warren JFK with DJ Yoakley on the call. Scene 2, 5 p.m. start time. Got to fly with the Division 4 state champions, I feel like, in this one. The reigning, defending, undisputed Warren JFK Eagles defending that Division 4 state champion. I think they get the win against Matthews tonight, Scotty.
Yeah, and till somebody knocks them off, it's especially right now, the way things are going, it's just hard to go against them. So I agree there.
Next up, too, at 7 p.m., also on the network, Waterloo at McDonald in Scene 2. And this one, I'll leave it open to you, Scotty. I'll let you pick first. It's the last game we got on the network. 7 p.m. start time, but I think it's immediately following Matthews and JFK.
Yeah, I'm going to go with McDonald here. I haven't seen as much of Waterloo, so what I have seen from the Blue Devils, I think they could get a little more consistent, but there's a lot I like about them, so I'm going McDonald.
I'll split with you and go with Waterloo. I got you, Vikings. Crestview at Brea, another set of Vikings in the baseball realm. Not on the network, but is happening 5 p.m. start time. Rebels at Brea Vikings. I'm still going to go Crestview in this matchup. Baseball team looking just as hot.
I'm gonna go Brea here.
Another split.
Another split.
This one, East Palestine at Latonia, 5 p.m. start time. Not on the network is happening, though, I believe. Gotta rock with the Bulldogs. They've gotten some wins in recent weeks, and I gotta keep rocking with them. Give me EP.
Yeah, I especially when DJ wears his just the kid from EP shirt, it always gets me pumped up. So I can't go against East Palestine.
Here's a correction to Columbiana Wellsville. Not a doubleheader, just a first pitch at 5 p.m. I believe our picks both were Columbiana, though, and that will stand. Props to Mill Creek Park. They're doing a really good job pushing youth sports, says Raymond Smill. Just want to catch up on these comments. I couldn't agree more. We love everything Brian Tolnar does and everything he does for us, too, and we always look forward to having him on Wednesday. And then we look back to our games, too. Harrison Central at Edison. I'm set. I'm feeling in a YSN mood. I'm going Edison with the Wildcats.
Yeah, I'm feeling in a YSN mood today too. Just a good mood because it's Wednesday. So give me Edison.
We go into it. Heartland Christian at Lisbon. This is going to be a tough one. Scotty, I'll leave this one open to you first. Who do you got? Blue Devils, Lions.
I was thinking about this just a second ago because I've been keeping up with a lot of the content on the website, and I just really like that Heartland Christian, the offense. So I'm going to go with them.
Next up, I'm going to go with Heartland as well. Excuse me. I'll go with the Lions as well. Maplewood at Badger. I don't think there's any question on this one, Scotty. I'm going Badger.
Yeah, I got to go Badger too.
And the final game happening in the area tonight, it is Poland at South Range Baseball, a big rivalry in the NE8, Scotty. Yep, I'll let it be your pick. You'll take the last pick here, Scotty, of the night. What do you got? Poland South Range on the baseball diamond.
Well, I think it was last week's show. I kept going with the Dogs, and I'm gonna keep that theme rolling here. Give me those Bulldogs.
He's going Poland in this one. No, I gotta go. I'm gonna go with a split on this one against you, Scotty. I'm gonna go South Range.
I knew you would, Ty.
I had to go Raiders at home in this one. It's too good of a matchup not to be split on. It deserves the split. We make sure it does get split on. Poland at South Range happening 5 o'clock start time. And just thank the heavens there's baseball and softball happening tonight, folks. And if you can, get out there to a ballpark, support the games happening 5 p.m. start time for a lot of the games. Some of them happening as early as 4:45, though, I believe, too. I know like Lakeview at Austintown has been scheduled to 4:45. Check our pages on our social. Also check just our schools pages as well to get updated schedules on that too. But games are happening in the area. Get out there and support. And if you can't, you can catch some games on the network. Go to ysnlive.com/live to find them, or you can find our new QR code, scan that, and you'll get set up with our live games as well. As the Casual Sports Podcast due up from 2 to 3 following us. And then following that is going to be DJ Yoakley's Power Hour from 3 to 4. But until then, Scotty came in from Wednesday. We always thank him for doing so. Brian Tolnar, our golf guru, came in, as he usually does on Wednesdays, gave us some tips on the PGA Tour. He's got a tips show coming up. You'll have to stay tuned for that, too, as well as Brian Tolnar just highlighting some things at Mill Creek Golf. We also had Michael Thorpe of Salem Softball stop in, too, and talked about that fun trip with the softball team down to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and that was great conversation as well as our big dogs and power rankings drops. Catch those on socials. Get out there and vote. ysnlive.com/big dogs. But Till then, it's been Wednesday's edition of Running Point. This is Ty Bartell, Scotty Mincher, wishing you all a farewell and a good afternoon, everybody.